So welcome. You're here for the NextGen webinar for NextGen upgrades. You can go ahead and do the screen. Sure, it's the NextGen roadmap for top considerations for future NextGen upgrades. Today, our presenter is Yvette Bujak. You see her there on the screen. We also have Nicole Pontius and Sarah Atkinson are in the background. They should be popping in for some questions. So we have a full team here to get you some info and get you started. Go ahead, Yvette. I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Holly. All right, thanks everybody for joining. So today we're going to be going through NextGen's roadmap of, patches that they're going to be releasing, upgrades, NextGen 8 that's been released. We're also going to talk about some of the requirements that are going to be needed that are coming down the road or have already started for some of you, like the California Data Exchange Framework requirements. And then we're going to go ahead and touch on the HTI-1 requirements for 2025 and 2026. And then I'm going to take you guys through best practice upgrade and update steps towards the end. And at the end, we'll go ahead and recap the information that we had discussed. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. And first, I want to go ahead and point out what is the difference between a NextGen upgrade and a NextGen patch. So a software update, so it modifies your existing software for any bug fixes, security, performance. These are usually smaller in size. They're released frequently, so NextGen releases those either by month or every other month. One way to think about this is, Windows Patch Tuesday, antivirus updates to your computer where they're getting those new definitions for those viruses. So definitely smaller in size, more frequent, not as much of an impact to your end users. A software upgrade. So this is when we're transitioning to a newer version. So I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the new NextGen 8, very new look and feel within the EHR with the patient information bar and the left-handed navigation. So that's a much bigger lift and it introduces a lot of new features. These are less frequent, not monthly, because we don't want to overload our users with new features all the time. And it's much more of a substantial lift. So, download, you guys need to review the information within the system. One way to think about this is, when you guys went from Windows 7 to Windows 10, Microsoft Office 2016 to 2019. So there's significant changes, maybe a different look and feel to the application, and so on. Now with NextGen, sometimes they do release some new features with an update, but that's not very common. And usually they're minor within the system. So key differences, update, no new features, fixing some bugs, security, performance. With an upgrade, much heavier lift, new features introduced. I'll go ahead and say that NextGen sometimes does release some new features within an update, but it's not such a big impact to the end users. So NextGen 8. NextGen 8 has been released, and as you guys may have seen, it's got that new patient information bar that's available. It's more customizable, allowing you to prioritize the information that's pertinent to the practice. The hover icons on the left-hand navigation, so we've moved it from the right over to the left. Because in the English language, we go ahead and write from left to right, so it's kind of more intuitive to the user as they're using it. Encounter history, a lot of that stuff can be tailored to the display of the data elements that you guys need to see within your practice. And then category view for those documents, you can set up preferences for that. So definitely more customizable, more intuitive to your practice and to your end users. To make the system easier to use. So should you upgrade to NextGen 8? And we're going to kind of go over a couple of these different requirements that are coming in the next couple of slides, but currently the choice is yours. So if you guys are testing for quality programs and you guys are already on 6.2021, currently you are on the Cures version, and you guys can continue to attest to those programs as you guys wish. You guys are an older version, free Cures, within that information, you guys probably want to upgrade. If you guys are a client that just upgraded within the last 6 months, maybe it's a good idea to hold off for another upgrade for now, give your users a little bit of time of rest. Maybe you guys have a lot of customizations within your practice, and that's something else to consider that we're going to discuss in the next slides as well. So as you guys know, when you guys are upgrading, there's a list that you guys need to do if you guys have custom templates, because those custom templates need to be redone within your practice. Now, I want to point out that within the next few slides, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that these customizations sometimes need to be redone in an update as well, if that update affects the template that you have customized and made a copy of. NextGen's also going to be releasing a patch with those Classic Plus templates that are available in NextGen 8 for people that do any template editing on the call. If you guys do decide to take this patch, you guys will have the ability to use Template Editor with these enhanced panels, data entry boxes, hashtag for my phrases, and more. Currently not in general release yet, but it will be available, and you'll be able to use the template editor and build your own templates with these enhanced features as well. Okay. The other thing I want to go ahead and discuss is the California Data Exchange framework requirements. And this is only for our California clients on the call right now. So the core principle of the data exchange framework is that every Californian, no matter where they live, should be able to walk into a doctor's office and be assured that their health and social service providers can access all of the information that they need to deliver safe, effective, whole person care while keeping data private and secure. So, go to a doctor's office, maybe go to an emergency room, you were just seen by your primary care provider. They documented information on your visit. They want to make sure that that emergency room is going to be able to see that information that your primary care had documented, so they can look at the whole big picture of what's going on with the patient. So there were some requirements for practices that have less than 25 physicians. Had a requirement to be on the California Data Exchange Framework by January 31st of 2024. California practices that have over 25 physicians have till January 31st of 2026. NextGen has released a patch to be able to accommodate this, and that is, Cures Patch 202. You have to be on 6.2021 to be able to take this patch. And then the ACE Patch 46 also needs to be installed. Rosetta needs to be upgraded. You must have NextGen Share installed, because that's how this information is going to be shared out to the other entities. And then I also added a link here once this presentation is sent out directly to the NextGen documentation that will let you know which patch, the content, some additional information on this, and where you need to be with it. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and point out, those of you that are on 6.2021, you guys are going to be applying an ACE patch. So ACE patch, some of your templates might be affected. So if you guys have a copy of the SOAP template and NextGen has made an update for this California Data Exchange in patch 46, I think they're up to 50 something right now, so you can go ahead and take that one. It'll include this information as well. But one thing to think about is if NextGen made updates for the California Data Exchange to your SOAP template, you guys now need to make a new copy of that SOAP template and then reapply your customizations. I know people usually just think, go ahead and throw the patch in. We only have to run a gap analysis and review templates during an upgrade, but this is something that needs to be done during the patching process. And again, if you have custom templates, those need to be reviewed during a patch and an upgrade. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and touch on some of those settings that you guys will need to update within the Rosetta agents for your CCDA exports. So these are the settings. So CDA export, CDA content selection, filter and export, content generation filter. These must be configured to enable all of the clinical note types. So you guys are sending over the correct SOGI information and so on. Export, include EHR documents and clinical notes. this option must be set to yes. So those clinical notes are all included in that CCDA as well. So another requirement, and this is for our clients that are going to be attesting to MIPS, PI clients, APM clients, there's going to be a new HTI one requirement for 2025 and 2026. And this is basically on NextGen to basically release information within their updates or upgrades. NextGen doesn't know if this is going to be an upgrade or an update yet, but it eliminates the need to update the full edition of the software and only needs to update specific. Previously, when they were, getting certification so you guys can attest for those regulatory programs, there was a full version upgrade and everything needed to be touched. So now they're trying to concentrate on specific items, and they want to go ahead and start releasing these more and more frequently. So what does that mean for you? You guys are going to have to update or upgrade more frequently. So if you guys have a lot of customizations and it takes 6 months for you guys to upgrade or update your templates, that's something that you guys might want to take a look at and consider. Maybe cut back on some of those customizations. I know in NextGen 8, they're going to go ahead and give you guys configurable buttons. So if you guys have copied off the intake just to launch a template or add a checkbox, those items will be available within that version. So over here is just basically the timeline. So 1/1/2025 for certain APM clients must be on HTI 1 phase 1. 7/4/2025 MIPS PI clients must be on this. And during that time, they're going to be making updates to the decision support intervention and then standardized FHIR endpoint. Now, NextGen does not know if this is going to be an upgrade or an update yet. But again, if you guys are customized, you guys are going to have to redo templates with both of those. So think about the level of customization you guys currently have. So 2024, 2025, 7/1/2025, and then 1/1/2026 for our APM clients, and then 7/4 of 26 for our MIPS PI clients. During this time, we're going to be updating some additional information. So CCDA companion guide updates, they're going to minimize the standard code sets updates, standardized API updates, updates to electronic case reporting, patient requested restrictions, patient demographic updates, transition of care updates, and so on. So again, we don't know if this is going to be a full upgrade or an update, but things to consider is the customization and the level of customization that you guys have. And in the next couple slides, I'm going to take you guys through the upgrade and the update process. I've bundled them all together, but I'm going to go ahead and point out those items that you guys would need to do in an update process as well. So high level upgrade or update process. So with both of these, there's the technical component that needs to be done. So with an upgrade, can your servers handle this new version? You guys need to go ahead and make sure you guys do a hardware validation. With an update or an upgrade, we're going to do a fresh DB copy. We're going to copy that test environment down to, production down to our test environment to make sure that we're looking at apples to apples. Because when we're testing and we're redoing customizations, we want to make sure that the test version that we're reviewing is exactly what we have in production. During this time, it's a good idea to go ahead and put a stop on any new development within your system. After we've done the DB copy, we're going to go ahead and apply that upgrade or that update to our test environment. And then if you guys are going to 6.2021, you guys should have created a PXP server and then installed PXP on there and then get started on your PXP workbook. Next step, we're going to go ahead and begin reviewing. So during an upgrade, obviously there's a ton of new features that are usually released, so you need to go out to the Knowledge Exchange and start reviewing those new features that are available. Now, sometimes with an update, we've seen it previously, small updates have been released in an update as well. But definitely with a full upgrade, make sure that you guys are reviewing all that information that's posted on the Knowledge Exchange, especially items that are specialty specific for any changes. Then we want to go ahead and do the gap analysis. So we want to run the clinical template analyzer, review the templates that we have customized within our system, and then make determinations on those custom templates if we want to reapply those customizations. Is there a new feature that's available in NextGen to me today where I created a button on a template, but NextGen is now offering it? So maybe we can drop that customization. So it's important to do that side-by-side comparison between the templates. Also want to review the release notes, which we'll go through in a couple slides as well, in both an upgrade and an update. So it's going to tell you all of the KIs that have been corrected. It'll also list out the new features. And again, with an upgrade and an update, you want to see what templates are affected. And have you copied that template? Do you need to review it and possibly reapply your customization? So we've upgraded our test environment. We've reviewed new features. We've ran our gap analysis. We've determined what customizations we need to bring forward. Now we're going to go ahead and go into our build phase. So we have a list of new features that we want to enable. Go ahead, do those configurations in our test environment, and then start reapplying those customizations to our templates, to our documents. Some of you guys might have stored procedures even, DB triggers, and so on within your system. So it's a time to go ahead and start rebuilding that information in our test environment on those new templates. So we've built all the information. Now it's time to test it. Make sure that what we have customized still works in this new version and that we've done it properly. We also want to make sure that we're testing those new features that we're introducing to our workflow. You want to also test current items that have not been, might not be new features. So we recommend you testing the system from A to Z. So when a patient walks in the office, schedules an appointment, they walk in the office, you check in the appointment, you collect that copay, fill out any forms that you guys might have in the system. That encounter is created within the EHR. The MA picks up that encounter, documents their piece, the provider picks it up, documents their piece, submits billing, generates their note, then it goes back to the billing department. The billing department can go ahead and process those charges, bill those charges, post payments against those charges. So again, beginning to end. And then as you guys are going through that workflow, if you guys are introducing new features, it's a good time to test those workflows. Are these new features going to work within that workflow that we have created? Do we need to make modifications to what we've done? All right, so we've installed, we've reviewed new features, we've built our system, we've tested it, we're good to go. Now it's time to go ahead and train our end users. So we've got a list of items that we've enabled for our new features. Now it's time to train our end users on those new features. Is there a new feature that's been introduced into the system that might break the workflow? Do we need to train our end users on that? So those are items that will come out of your review, build, and test phases within training. After we've trained our users, we're going to go ahead and deploy this to our production environment. We're going to go ahead and reapply those customizations and configurations that we did to our test environment to our production environment. And then we're going to go ahead and provide some go live support. So now we're going to go ahead and deep dive into each one of these a little bit more. So technical upgrade, technical readiness. Like I said, if you guys are going to a new version, we need to make sure that we are reviewing our servers to make sure that everything's up to par. PXP server build, if you guys are upgrading to 6.2021, determine your core team for your upgrade. Who's going to be the decision maker for these new features? Who's going to be the decision maker on if we need to bring forward customizations or if we can drop them? And then again, that DB copy from production down to your test environment, because we want to make sure that we're looking at the same information between the two. Test install the patch or the update into our test environment. NextGen does release those patches monthly or every other month. It's okay to go ahead and apply a patch to our test environment as we're going through the process. But keep in mind, if I have copied off a template, let's say soap template, we'll use that as an example, and I just put in ACE patch 1, and now I'm installing ACE patch 5 into my test environment, and ACE patch 5 has updates to that soap template, but I've already completed all my customizations. You now need to reapply those customizations to that new soap template that's been upgraded with the fixes on that template. So just keep in mind, you guys need to review those release notes and see what templates and documents are affected in your system. Okay. Some additional upgrades that might be required. PXP, again, if you guys are doing to your 6.2021 upgrade, you guys will go ahead and get with NextGen and start that PXP workbook. And then now is a good time to go ahead and schedule weekly calls with your team. So we're going to go ahead and configure. So release notes, I'm going to say this a lot. We need to go ahead and make sure we're reviewing our release notes for our upgrades. We're going to determine items that need to be enabled. Some come out of the box. We don't have a choice. In NextGen 8, we know we have a brand new look and feel to the application, much better for the users, but definitely that's out of the box. We know we need to train our users and show them how to use this new feature. Others will be enabled in file maintenance, system admin. Those, will be applied in your test environment, but once you guys go to production, it's important to keep a list of all those items that you've configured, because you're going to have to redo that effort in production. Now with templates and documents, we can go ahead and export those out of our test environment and import them into our production environment. But again, it's very important to keep a list of all the templates that you've customized, all the documents that you've customized, maybe store procedures need to be moved, and so on. Keeping a list of both will definitely help for go live weekend. Again, configuration items should be added to the training plan. So if you guys do decide to take on a feature, we need to make sure that we're training our end users and figuring out how is this going to affect our workflow. So now we're going to go ahead and run into the gap analysis. So we're going to go ahead and install the clinical template analyzer, I still call it gap, within the system. So we're going to make decisions. The gap will help us determine what we've customized, what our users are using today, what kind of workflow are they using within the application. This will help you determine the amount of work that'll need to be done to redo these customizations if you guys have customized. And then it'll help you plan for that production upgrade as well. So you guys might have said, I want to go ahead and upgrade in 2 months, but based on the level of customizations that you guys need to do and the staff that you guys have on hand, you might need to extend that timeline. Okay. Good time to go ahead and put a change control into place to make sure that we're not introducing new changes into our production environment that are not in our test environment. You might not know that this new feature or this new item has been added to a template in production, and you're over here redoing your items in the test environment. That could be missed within your gap analysis. So definitely a freeze is a good thing to go ahead and put in. Just a reminder, I do see this get missed a lot, review pick lists within NextGen, logos, DB pick lists, and so on as you guys are reviewing the information in NextGen. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into those release notes that I've been referencing a lot here. So the release notes for each version can be found on the Knowledge Exchange. If you are upgrading or updating, these need to be reviewed for new features, resolved issues, and affected content. Affected content is where it's going to let you know those documents, those templates, and so on that have been affected by this upgrade or this update that we are applying to our test environment. So over here I have basically a screenshot of the affected content. I just have it filtered by templates right now. So I could see that in patch 51, my SOAP template is updated. So maybe there's been fixes to this template or new features applied. I could see that the OB flow sheet has been updated, HIV flow sheet, asthma flow sheet. And I can look at my system and I have a copy of the SOAP template because we've made customizations on it and we're on patch 1. We need to go ahead and make a copy of that template and redo our customizations even in an update. A lot of times people miss that and then they'll say, well, we applied this patch to our environment because there was a KI and it's not fixed on my soap. It's because the copy of your soap is still on patch 1 and the fixed version is on patch 51. So you need to copy that again, reapply your customization to that new template with that new patch, with that new fix applied. Now I only have this filtered by patch 51, but in the example I just used, if you guys are on patch 1, you guys need to look at patch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 51 and have this filtered by that to see what templates are affected and identify your templates that may be customized within here. Okay? If you guys do not do this, it could result in, like I said, issues in your template. When you guys are testing, sometimes store procedure errors can be thrown and so on because your copied off template is referencing old information. New features, which settings, configurations are set up, controls the essential workflows unique to your practice. So I mentioned, as you guys are determining new features, as you guys are testing, test those new features within your workflow and make sure that they fit. Do any of the workflows need to be adjusted? Is there a new feature within the PM autoflow that you guys want to introduce? PM reports, are there new columns available, maybe new reports available to your end users? Practice preferences, file maintenance, system practice template configurations, and again, template customizations. So here's an example of the clinical template analyzer, gap analysis. You guys should have this installed, so you guys would go ahead and select the practice, select your provider, select the date range that you guys want to run this for. Then you guys can go ahead and load template activity, load document activity, load template workflow, load pop-up relationships. For today, I'm going to go ahead and just concentrate on these two over here. So we do have this template activity. Now, even if you guys do not have any custom templates within your organization, this is a very good tool to identify your most used templates by all of your providers. And what does that tell me? That is a template that I need to go in the system and make sure that I test thoroughly, because if this is broken, it's going to affect my workflow come day one. So we want to make sure that we're looking at this even if you guys do not have custom templates. Now, if you guys do have custom templates, let's say a provider requested this template be built, they needed it, and then you run the template analyzer and they've only used it 2 times within the last year. So that possibly could be a customization that you can consider dropping. You don't need to keep that and carry that forward within your system. Same thing with document activity. I could see over here that my master IM is my most used template. I want to make sure that I'm reviewing this master IM to make sure that everything is there. There are no errors thrown, because if you guys, if your most used items within your practice aren't working properly, that's going to generate a lot of phone calls and a lot of upset users come go live. Okay. So over here, what I've done is I've taken the template portion, template analysis, and exported it to Excel. So I could see over here, patient tracking is my most used template. I could see when it was first used, when was it last used. Last use also helps in determining with customizations, because if it has not been used in the last 6 months, is this really needed? Do I need to continue using this? Is it something that I can drop? It'll go ahead and give you an encounter count. And then I usually like to add a column for decision and a column for effort. In the decision column, we can go ahead and choose if we want to retire a template. So maybe it was a homegrown template, not being utilized anymore, hasn't been used in a long time. We can go ahead and retire that template and remove it from our template set, so our users won't have access to it. Retain. Maybe something you guys have customized on a template is specific to your state, and it's a requirement, something that you guys would retain. But again, make sure that we're reviewing our templates based on the new features that have been released within the system to make sure that something's not out there available from NextGen that can replace this customizations that I've done, and then rebuild as well. I like to add a column for effort. Within the effort column, as you guys are reviewing those templates, when you retain or rebuild a template, how long is it going to take you? Because if you guys are highly customized and your templates are going to take a significant amount of time to rebuild, that's going to affect your go live. So maybe you guys need to reevaluate at that time and see what we're looking at for our dates. Okay. One thing in the gap analysis, so you can go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison. So here we've got our current version, here we've got our new version. Compare it side by side. What buttons are new? Is it something that I've added? What's the new look and feel to the template? And here I included the NextGen 8, which is completely brand new, but we would go ahead and concentrate on the template as well. What looks different on the template? What's been added to the template? Is it something that we need to use? So it's really good to do a side-by-side comparison with your template. So we would do a visual inspection, overall look and feel, physical layout, have things been moved around, navigation, NextGen 8, that's going to be a big one. We're navigating left to right instead of right to left. Pick list differences. Make sure that we identify those before we go live if pick lists have been changed or updated, and we need to make sure that we add your values again. Functional inspection, validate general functionality. Has NextGen released something? New features, what are the benefits of new features? How can we use these new features? Is this going to change our existing workflow within our organization? So definitely things to consider as you guys are reviewing them. So level of customizations, as you guys are reviewing the templates and the customization, what level of customization is critical to your workflow? Is it something that's required by the states and NextGen just has not released this within there, and you guys need to have this? That's something that you guys would probably want to carry forward. But it's a good time to determine your must-have versus your nice-to-have. You guys know I said in the previous slides with that HT1, more frequent upgrades and updates. And during an upgrade or an update, we need to make sure that we're reviewing those templates that we've customized in both scenarios to see what we need to re-customize again. So definitely a good time at the next upgrade to determine, what's your must-have or nice-to-have. Decision making. So what are we going to do about our differences? So maybe you guys are going to choose to drop a customization. Maybe you guys are going to choose, if you guys are going to be going to NextGen 8, use one of those configuration options for a checkbox. What are you guys going to do about those differences? Do you guys have reports going off of that checkbox? Do you guys need to update some of those crystal reports or other reports you guys might be running within the system? In the previous slide when I showed you guys the gap analysis exported to Excel, I had a column for, the decision making basically. And then for those customizations that we're going to bring forward, what is the level of effort? How many hours is it going to take me to redo this? This is a time where you need to evaluate. Do you have in-house staff available to do this? Or do you guys need to outsource that? Determine at this point, if we're going to keep all of these customizations, what is that going to do to my timeline? Do I need to be on this specific version by a specific date? And am I going to hit that deadline? So definitely things to consider as you guys are doing your decision making. Other items to review, practice preferences, make sure that you guys are reviewing all of the sections within there, review the alerts, evaluate the auto flow. Is there something new available to make it easier on my end users? Review the EHR, review the orders module, all of the modules within the EHR, evaluate the patient information bar, review reports. A lot of times new columns are available to us. Within system admin, review those permissions. New features are being introduced. Who gets these new rights and why do they get them? So decision making behind that. Review some of your existing settings. Maybe things need to be updated. And it might be a good time to review that information since we're already bringing our users in for training. File maintenance, evaluate each section for updates. So code tables, libraries, master files, master lists. A lot of times if you go through an upgrade, sometimes on the diagnostics template, all of the DB pick lists get updated. a good thing to test in your test environment before we move to prod, so we identify that as a build item that we need to go ahead and remove those items that NextGen snuck into those pick lists for us. Okay. EHR preferences setup, system practice template configuration. A couple slides ago I said, crystal report evaluation. Have you guys decided to change a field within your template and use something that's out of the box? Do those custom crystal reports need to be updated? Maybe you guys are using Tableau or other means of reporting. Make sure that those are all reviewed to make sure that you guys are reporting on the fields that you guys have now. Patient information bar configuration, preferred template list. This is one that I see often missed during an upgrade. So you guys have made a copy of a template, let's say the SOAP template. Provider has it in their favorites, in their preferred template set. Come go live, they come in, log in the morning, open Encounter, open that template, and all of a sudden they're hit with a bunch of SQL errors, or the template's not functioning properly. It's because they're opening an old template that has not been updated, and it has all the information, and it can throw errors for us. And they need their template set updated to point to that new template. If you guys are using out-of-the-box SOAP, that name does not change. Automatically on day one, they launch the SOAP template. It'll launch the newest template that's available to them. Okay? And again, review those new features to enable. Some of the other areas to review, PXP, optical, document management, BBP, Rosetta, mobile, auto, NextGen, EDR, specialty suites. So, some of you guys might be on the new behavioral health suite. That's something you guys want to evaluate if you guys are going to NextGen 8. Is this compatible with NextGen 8? Do I also need to update my behavioral health, ophthalmology, cardiology, therapy, or orthopedic suite that I have installed? So that's another thing that you guys need to review. Some of these things can't be tested before production due to system setup configuration within the system. Testing guidelines. So once we get to testing, we need to make sure that our users know how to access the test environment. Are they doing a thin client? What server are they going to log into to get to that testing environment? Is their password updated? Has it expired since I've been doing this? We may need to go through and update all of our testing users' passwords. It doesn't happen often, but I've seen a few out there. If you guys are doing a fat client, then they can just go ahead and do a set DB, but same thing. You need to make sure that their passwords are updated, they know how to navigate there, and they know what they're testing. Some of the ancillary products that can't be tested, e-prescribing, we cannot e-prescribe from a test environment, and then interfaces as well. Those can be tested, they can be set up. You would need to notify your vendors, and sometimes fees may apply for that. So it's just a decision making on the practice. Make sure your users have the test plan, for your workflow, so they can go ahead and mark off that they've tested it, provide you with the medical record number, and then can document any issues. And then workflow testing, like I said, as you use the system. So you guys snuck in a bunch of new features for your users. As they're testing their workflow, they should let you know, hey, this really isn't working for me this way. You guys might need to evaluate. Maybe we need to go ahead and put this in a different spot of the workflow for the user. So it's not just software testing, it's also workflow testing for you guys within the organization. So we have installed, we've reviewed new features, we've applied new customizations, we've tested the application, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to training. So all those new features, all those new lists, all those new items that we've enabled, we've kept lists of that so that can help build our training plan. We're going to train them on all the new features within the modules, make sure to include non-specialty specific workflows in there, and show them any template changes, EPM training, front desk, billing, PXP training. That'll depend on the new features that are enabled, and then also consider those suites. So if we need to make updates to any of those suites, what new features are within those suites that we need to make sure that we let those specialties know. So post-deployment. So before we apply our upgrade or update to the production environment, in an upgrade, we want to make sure that we complete any outstanding PQ items. Make sure the providers are signing off on all their items. If you guys are moving to PXP, make sure that you guys reply to all those old NextMD portal messages, because once you guys do the cutover, you will not be able to reply to that message because the patient won't be enrolled in PXP. So make sure that you guys have replied to those messages. If you guys didn't, you know, can always pick up the phone and contact the patient still. But just good rule of thumb, just make sure everything's cleared out and everything's completed. Want to make sure that your providers and users have completed any outstanding documentation for clinical documentation. Generate all documents, submit their billing before you go live. It's a good idea, you know, months, you know, depending how far behind your providers are, you know, look back and start letting them know, hey, this upgrade is coming on so-and-so day. You have 1 month to complete all of your clinical documentation. Sometimes in an upgrade, if you go to an old encounter that has an old template, and now you're generating a new document, it's going to throw errors and it could be missing information. And that master IM is your legal document. So you want to make sure that it contains everything. So it's very important that doctors go back, complete their clinical documentation on those old templates, and generate those documents before we upgrade production. Another item that's good to do is to post all of those EPM payment batches. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to deploy this. So we're going to be putting everything into production. Now, when we're doing a production upgrade, there is downtime. So your providers will not have access to the system. Try to schedule these during off hours. But, you know, sometimes providers are used to logging into the system if you allow it. You know, during weekends, during evenings, needs to be communicated that the system will be down during the upgrade. During the upgrade process, we go ahead and manually back up the production database, and we keep a copy of that. Reason for that production database backup is just in case there's any issues. Knock on wood, I've never had any. We can roll back to that version and, you know, not proceed with the upgrade. At this point, we would go ahead and install the new version or new upgrade or update into your production environment. If you guys are upgrading to PXP, we would configure PXP for production. And then we had our lists from earlier, from the beginning, of all the new features that we've enabled, all of our templates we've customized, all of our documents we've customized, store procedures, ubiquitous, so on. You know, we have our build list that we've created as we've been going through the upgrade process. So we want to make sure that we open up file maintenance, practice preferences, system admin. All of those new features are enabled in our prod environment. Now with our templates and documents and so on, we can go ahead and move those over into our production environment. And then at this point, once the configuration has been done in production, we can go ahead and turn it over to our end users for testing. Another round of testing never hurts, just to make sure that everything we said we were going to turn on is turned on. All of those templates that we said we were going to move into prod were moved to prod, and everything is functioning properly. So we have that time set aside. Usually a go, no-go call is made, and then we're going to go ahead and obviously Monday will be go live support for the end users. So summarizing the deadline. So NextGen 8, there's no deadline. Classic 2021, sorry, 6.2021 patch with the Classic Plus templates has no deadline and has not been released yet for it. There are some deadlines coming up for you guys though. So there's going to be this phase 1 and phase 2. Do not know if this is going to be a patch or a full upgrade. But again, if you guys are highly customized, that's something you guys need to start considering because these are going to start getting released, you know, more frequently. So it's going to affect you guys more. California Data Exchange, you know, less than 25 physicians. You guys were supposed to have that patch installed by January 31st, 2024. Anybody over 25 physicians has till January 31st of 2026. Now, if you guys go to another version in the meantime, that information will be available to those providers that are over 25, so you don't have to go to that specific one patch. The patches are cumulative, and that information will be included in there. So clients using customized templates should factor in these deadlines when planning upgrades. All of the increasing regulatory requirements will necessitate additional patches in the future. You know, clients are advised to assess the extent of their customizations and consider whether adopting a more standardized approach would be feasible. So just wanted to get you guys thinking about all these items and, you know, the lift that needs to be done, even in a patch, if you guys are highly customized. So now we'll go ahead and turn it over to questions.
All right, let's see. Let me put me back on the screen as well. We do have a few we've been answering as they've been coming in. So let me go over the ones that are pending. Right now, we have, when you make your copy, do you need to make copies of all of the existing documents and images, or can we just copy the template and basic application? Just concerned about the amount of space this will take on the server. We can't hear you.
I was on mute. I was just asking, can the participants come off mute or no?
Yeah, you're good
more
now.
Questions about that one. I don't know, but can the participants come off mute or no?
I don't know if I can't do that. I don't know if we can do that.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I'll try to answer it both ways. And if I'm wrong, please go ahead and put it in the chat. So if you're referring to the DB copy, it's basically uplifting your production environment over to your test environment, and it's overriding your test environment with the current copy of production. So I know you guys usually keep a backup, but those backups usually aren't stored there for very long. But the DB copy would just be an exact replica. So you're basically lifting up SQL from prod and putting it into test. And everything would need to be copied over, documents and images. Now, those you can go ahead and make a decision. Sometimes people just choose to do the last 30 days, or they choose not to bring those over at all. And it's just a note to end users as they're testing the application to let them know if you try to launch an old ICS document or an old generated document, that will not be available and it might throw an error when you launch it.
Okay, that makes sense. And then we wanted to revisit, let's see, how often are we going to be upgrading versions? And then we have the answer of it depends on if you're testing for regulatory programs or if you're reporting as APM or a PI client. All will need to upgrade for HITI1 and HITI2. Timing depends on APM or PI. So I think they wanted to bring that screen back up and kind of go back over those. I think we might have had some dates reversed maybe for the 25, the under 25 and over 25. So maybe we go over this again.
Yep. So here, the phase one, and this is if you are testing for any regulatory program that requires an ONC certified version, so your MIPS and so on. If you are doing an APM, January 1st of 2025, MIPS, July 4th of 2025, and that's for phase one. And then after that, they're going to have phase two, and your APM is going to be January 1st of 2026. Your MIPS PI will be July 4th of 2026. So I was going to use MIPS PI. You're going to have an upgrade by July 4th of 2025 and by July 4th of 2026.
And that's if you're not a California client, correct?
Correct. And then if you are a California client, if you're under 25, you should have already taken a patch that's available from NextGen. If you're over 25, you can actually wait. If you're over 25 and you attest for a regulatory program, that information will be included in this July 4th, 2025 patch or upgrade.
Okay, I think we got it. I can go over the other questions. I don't have any new ones coming in, but let me see. Wait a minute, let's see. From Derek, will a full upgrade be a requirement for 2025 and 2026?
Not sure yet. NextGen has not made the decision yet. So it'll be either a patch or an upgrade.
Okay. And then I have, is a gap analysis recommended with each update as well?
Correct. At least review the release notes. And I would start there. So if you've made a copy of your SOAP template and your SOAP template exists on the in the release notes, you know, you'll need to make a copy of that. But the gap analysis is good to identify your top used templates. So as you guys are testing that patch, you guys know which templates you guys want to hit the hardest and which documents you guys want to hit the hardest.
Okay, and then I have, I'm on 593. Can I upgrade to NextGen 8?
Oh, they have not released that information yet from NextGen, but it will be posted on the Knowledge Exchange when it's available.
And then I can go over the questions that were asked just in case. We had, do non-California practices need to make these upgrades for the CDE and DXF? And right now the updates are for California clinics only. All clients will be required to update for 2025. DXF requirements are California only, but HDI1 are for all states. Want to add anything there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's correct. Yep, so the California Data Exchange is only going to affect our California clients. Our HTI1 Phase 1 and Phase 2 is going to affect anybody that needs to be on an ONC certified version for any regulatory programs.
Got it. Okay, and then we had, what are the odds that the dates will change from what we show? And we just said these are the updates that are expected, but clients should keep an eye on the onchealthit.gov website for any updates.
Correct.
And then do we have an estimate for when NextGen will know if an upgrade or an update will be required for HT11? We are on 6.2021 currently, or do we need to have, or do we have to take NextGen 8 in 2025? And I have on health, go ahead, you can answer.
Of course. Yeah. So I was going to say, so if you guys are on 6.2021 now, and then you guys wait till, you know, Phase 1 is released, I'm pretty sure that will be on NextGen 8, unless NextGen decides to release NextGen 9. I don't foresee that coming along, but it could happen.
Anything's possible.
Yep.
And then, so there is a possibility we'd have to take NextGen 8 before taking an update if we need to be up to speed.
No, so you guys would be able to go from 6.2021 to the Phase 1, which will be probably a patch or just an update to NextGen 8. So it might be NextGen 8.1. Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, anybody have any other questions just to submit? We got a lot of them answered while we were going, so that was great.
That's good.
Well, if you guys have any questions that come to you afterwards, feel free to either contact your rep if you know who that is, or you can always send a question over to info@medtechsolutions.com. Again, everybody will receive a link in your email probably tomorrow sometime with the recording. And thank you very much for your time today. A lot of information. We know you're probably overwhelmed, but we are here to help if you guys need us. So feel free to reach out at any time. Y'all have a great afternoon and thank you for attending.
Thank you.